Hi everyone, welcome to our English lesson for today. We're going to be carrying on looking at biography writing, and again I'm over there I think and you're here, so that's great. We're going to be looking at the features of a biography today, and we're going to do that by looking at a biography of another famous person, seeing what they have in their biography. We can then use that as a template for when we then write our biography about Mary Anning. So, just before we get started, I just want you to have a think about if you can remember what a biography is. What's the difference between a biography and an autobiography? Pause the video now, either write it down or have a think to yourself, what is a biography? Okay, so biographical writing or a biography is about writing about someone else's life. It's always about a real person, but it's written by someone different. So in this case, it's going to be you writing about Mary Anning. A biography highlights the key events that have happened in their life, sometimes talking about their childhood, for example. And a biography can be written about someone who is dead or alive. It doesn't really matter. Now, an autobiography is the other type, and that's where you write about yourself. And a lot of celebrities do that. So on this slide here, we've got, at the moment, two different books. Now, one of these is an autobiography, and one of them is a biography. Can you work out which you think is which? Just pause the video and have a think. So, the way we can tell that this is an autobiography is because the author is the person it's about. Whereas this one here, it's about Justin Bieber, but the author is different and is at the bottom. Likewise with this one about Neil Armstrong, it's about him, but it's by a different author. And here about Elvis Presley, but it's by someone called Jerry Hopkins. It's about someone completely different. Now, these are the main features of a biography, and you're going to see them in a second in an example text. We have titled paragraphs, fronted adverbials, which is what we looked at yesterday. It's in chronological order. That means as it happened in their life is the way it's written. So it starts when they were young and it goes all the way through. It's always written in third person because you're writing about someone else. If it was in first person, you'd be writing about yourself, and therefore it would be an autobiography. It mentions the key life events, not the random bits or, the bits no one cares about. It focuses on the key bits. It's in the past tense because it's happened. It has to have happened for us to know about it, unless they're psychic and can predict the future, in which case, fair play to them. And it has a conclusion about how, if they're dead, how they will be remembered. If they're alive, maybe it's about how they'll be remembered, but more than likely that's for someone that's not here anymore. So, for example, Mary Anning, when we're writing about her, our final paragraph is probably going to be about what she'll be remembered for. Okay, so we've got a biography example, and you're going to have a look at it. It says in learning partners, you can't do that. Your learning partner is you, yourself, and I, or you, yourself, and you, I think. Anyway, using the numbers suggested on the previous slide here, you're going to annotate the example with those numbers where those features are in the text, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Now, the text looks like this, and it's about someone called Mary Seesaw, and the features are here. So when you spot a feature, you would number it. Now, I know what you're thinking. How am I going to do this? Do I have to write it all out and then number it? Well, if you want to, be my guest. But I wouldn't. You can, of course, print it out, but that's going to be quite tricky. So instead, I've set it using Seesaw. So when you go onto Seesaw today, which I'll just show you, when you go onto Seesaw, if you go onto the activities page, you'll see something that looks like this. Identify the biography features. If you press Add Response, I'm going to pretend to be a student. You will obviously only have your option for you. It's got the text, and you've got your drawing tools. So you can look at the features, right, titled paragraphs. I'm going to use my pen, change the colour, whatever I want to do. I'm going to have number 1, right, titled paragraphs. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to put I'm going to draw number 1 there, or I could type number 1 if I wanted to. It's entirely up to you. Go through, you can highlight bits as well. So if, for example, I wanted to highlight that, I can do. So I'd like you to annotate the features of the biography on Seesaw, and then when you're done with it, somewhere over here, I hope, is a little tick. You click the little tick, and that will then submit it to me to be able to look at. Another feature of Seesaw that we think will work quite well. Okay, so pause the video now, go to Seesaw, do that, come back to me when you're done. Okay, I'm hoping you've done that. So let's have a look and see. I'll go through some of these with you. I'm not going to go through all of them because it will take a long time, but I'm going to show you where some of them are. So we've got our titled paragraphs, number 1. Okay, I can also see one here. Oh no, that's a highlighter. There we go. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use my highlighter and I'm going to highlight the different bits. So I'm going to have that as yellow. Some of you have got back to this and thought, why didn't I say that earlier? Yeah. Fronted adverbials I'm going to have as blue. So let's start to have a look for blue. Now we know that a fronted adverbial has to have a comma after it. So I'm going to look for that. Ah, here we go. As a child, fronted adverbial. By the age of 12, that tells me when. When she was 31. I'm just going to highlight 3 or 4 examples. Instead, I'm looking for that comma. At the end of the war. There we go. I'm happy with that. Let's go green. And we're going to look for chronological order. So that means as it happened. So let's have a look again. So we've got about her being born. Well, we know that has to happen first. And let's say here, her death. Well, we know that has to happen last, I hope. So that's my evidence of chronological order. Third person. I'm going to go for a kind of red. Now we're looking for words like her, they, words that are referring to someone other than yourself. So we've got here her, Mary. So we're talking about her in the third person, not I. It's about Mary. Again, Mary here. You may have other examples, and that's absolutely fine. Her there. Okay. Now we're going to go for key life events. So let's have a look for a little bit of purple there. So for key life events, let's have a look and see. So we've got her early life here. I would say travelling to London, that's quite important. When she got married, there. Obviously when she was born, it's quite important for her life, probably. When she was helping her mother as a nurse, because that then helped inform what she wanted to do later in life. Past tense. Little bit of orange. So we're looking for anything that is worded in the past tense, i.e. it has already happened. So was, there, was, would you believe it? Was, practiced, so it's already happened, she already practiced it. She went. There we go, a few examples. So that's some of the highlighting or the numbering you could have done. Okay, you may have different examples. I've only very quickly done this. All right, but that gives you some ideas. So let's go back to where we were. So what we need to think about now, and this is the writing part of your task for today, is what subheadings we could use when we're writing about Mary Anning. So if we go back to this one here, for when we were looking at Mary Seacole, it started with who was Mary Seacole. You might decide, yep, I want to use that in my biography. That's a good one. Then it talks about her early life. Then it talks about the Crimean War. Now, we can't use that for Mary Anning because she wasn't in the Crimean War. I don't think. I hope not. And then it talks about Mary's old age. So we can see here we've got 4 different paragraphs. What I would like you to do for your writing part today is to decide what your 4 headings are going to be for your biography about Mary Anning. Now, you might choose to keep a few of these, and that's absolutely fine. And the great thing is, she's called Mary too, so you literally don't need to change anything. But you will need to decide what you're going to replace this with. So Mary Seacole, one of the big things about her was she was in the Crimean War. That was the big part of her life. It's what she kind of was most famous for. What she did in the Crimean War is what she's known for. Mary Anning, you need to decide what her most famous event or famous time was. What are you going to put for this paragraph here? So for your writing task, you're going to choose your 4 subheadings, or more if you want to, for your biography about Mary Anning, ready for us to write in a couple of lessons' time. For now, thank you for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye.